For more than 50 years, Diana Ross was like a queen that no one could touch. She was the biggest star at Motown, and everyone saw her as perfect. But now, at 81 years old, she's finally talking about something she kept secret for a long time. She's telling us about 7 famous people she really didn't like. And guess what? These weren't just random people. They were her friends, people she worked with, and even people she loved. They sang songs with her, cheered for her success, and then they hurt her feelings really badly. Some even made her cry on TV in front of everyone. Stay with me because when we get to the 7th person on this list, you're going to see Diana Ross and these so-called friends in a whole new way. Number 1, Michael Jackson, the young star who forgot about her. Let's start with a name that shocked everyone when Diana mentioned it. Michael Jackson. Yes, the king of pop himself is at the top of Diana's list of people she couldn't forgive. That's really hard to believe, right? This was the boy she once called her baby. She was so proud of him that she introduced him to everyone on national TV. But later on, he became someone who hurt her so much that she never wanted to talk about it. Way back in 1969, Diana was already a super famous singer at Motown. She was the one who helped bring the Jackson 5 all the way from Gary, Indiana to Los Angeles. She introduced them to a powerful man named Berry Gordy who could help make them famous. She even helped them look good and act professional. When they performed on a famous TV show called The Ed Sullivan Show for the first time, Diana was standing right there next to them supporting them. She really cared about Michael like he was her own child. She called him on the phone every single day. She bought him nice clothes. She even let him stay at her house when all the fame was too much for him to handle. Michael used to call her Mama Ross because she was like a mother to him. But that sweet relationship didn't last forever. When Michael became super famous in the 1980s, everything changed between them. People noticed that Diana's name stopped showing up when Michael did interviews. When she tried to call him, he wouldn't answer the phone anymore. All that warmth and love they used to share became cold and distant. Then in 1989, something really sad happened. Diana was chosen to give Michael a big award called a Lifetime Achievement Award. Everyone watching thought it would be a beautiful, touching moment where they'd hug and celebrate their friendship. But that's not what happened at all. When Michael got up to say thank you, he thanked Berry Gordy, he thanked Quincy Jones, a famous music producer. He thanked his fans, he even thanked his pet chimpanzee named Bubbles. But he didn't thank Diana. Not even once. After the ceremony was over, Diana was standing backstage. People who were there said she was just standing quietly, whispering to herself, "Never again, Michael." After that terrible night, Diana made a promise to herself. She would never help or mentor any young male singers ever again. And here's something even stranger. Years later, when Michael wrote his will, that's a paper that says who takes care of your stuff when you die, he said Diana should be the guardian of his children if anything happened to him. But Diana never said anything about it, not one word. It's really weird when you think about it, isn't it? The mother figure who helped him become famous ended up being like a ghost that he refused to say thank you to. That must have hurt Diana's feelings so much. Number 2, Berry Gordy, the secret boyfriend who tried to control everything. What happens when the man who helps make you famous also tries to control your whole life? That's exactly what happened to Diana Ross with Berry Gordy. He was her boss, he was her teacher, and yes, he was also her secret boyfriend. Their relationship wasn't just about work and music. It was about power, it was about passion, and it was also kind of toxic and poisonous all mixed together. By the early 1970s, Berry Gordy was running Motown like he was a king, and Diana was the queen he had chosen. He got to decide what songs she would sing. He decided what she would wear and how she would look. He even decided what movie roles she would take. When Diana starred in a movie called Lady Sings the Blues in 1972, everyone thought it was her dream come true. But later, Diana admitted something sad. She said, "I didn't choose that movie. Berry did." He wanted to shape her into what he thought was perfect, not what she thought was perfect. At first, Diana went along with everything because Berry believed in her when nobody else did. But the cost of that kept getting bigger and bigger. He would make her come to rehearsals at midnight when she should be sleeping. He would change her song words without even asking her first. And every time she tried to push back or disagree, he would remind her that he was the one who made her famous. By the end of the 1970s, Diana had had enough. She wanted to be free. She wanted to own her own music. She wanted to be in control of her own career. So in 1981, Diana did something that shocked the entire music world. She signed a contract with a different company called RCA for $20 million. That was the biggest deal ever given to a woman singer at that time. Barry felt really embarrassed and hurt. Behind closed doors, when other people couldn't hear, he called her ungrateful. He told music executives that Diana had forgotten where she came from. He said she had forgotten about him and everything he did for her. Diana was heartbroken, but she stayed strong. She told a close friend, "He wanted me forever, but not as a woman. He wanted me as property. Like something he owned, not someone he loved." After that, Diana cut all business connections with Barry. She didn't return to Motown for many, many years, not until decades later when all those hurt feelings had turned into old scars that didn't hurt as much anymore. Number 3, Aretha Franklin, the other queen who embarrassed her in front of everyone. This happened live. Cameras were rolling, microphones were on, and millions of people were watching at home. Diana Ross reached out her hand to say hello to Aretha Franklin, and Aretha turned her back on Diana. Right in the middle of singing a song, right in the middle of a musical note, Aretha just turned away like Diana wasn't even there. That single moment in 1985 became one of the coldest, meanest things ever shown on TV in music history. People always loved comparing these two women and making them compete. Aretha had the raw, powerful voice that came from gospel and soul music. Diana had the polished, glamorous style of Motown, but what started as a quiet competition turned into real hatred between them. People who worked with them say it started years earlier. Aretha complained that Diana always got put on the covers of magazines, while Aretha got the respect from serious music fans, but not the fame. It made Aretha feel like Diana was getting special treatment just for being pretty and polished. After that moment on TV when Aretha snubbed Diana, Aretha did an interview that made things even worse. When someone asked her about other female performers, she said, "Some people sing, some people pose." She didn't say Diana's name, but she didn't have to. Everyone in the whole music industry knew exactly who she was talking about. Diana didn't fight back in public or say mean things in interviews, but she was really, really angry. She told a friend later, "She could outsing me, but she could never outclass me." That means Diana thought Aretha might have a better voice, but Diana had better manners and style. Still, Aretha kept being mean. During practice for another awards show, she supposedly leaned over to a musician and said, "That's not singing, that's whispering in sequins." Sequins are those shiny, sparkly things on fancy dresses. So basically, Aretha was saying Diana just looked pretty but couldn't really sing. Diana heard what Aretha said. She didn't show any emotion or get upset in front of people. She just smiled. But then she quietly promised herself she would never share a stage with Aretha again, and she kept that promise. From that night on, there were two legends, two queens, but their friendship was over forever because of one unforgettable moment. Number 4, Lionel Richie, the singing partner who walked away. One phone call, that's all it took to destroy months of hard work and trust. In 1981, Lionel Richie called Diana Ross's manager and said he wouldn't be doing the Endless Love World Tour. He didn't really explain why. He didn't have a discussion about it. He just said, "I'm out," and that was it. Diana couldn't believe it at first. How could he just walk away from the song that made both of them so famous? Their duet, Endless Love, had broken records everywhere. It stayed at number 1 on the music charts for 9 whole weeks, and it became one of the biggest love songs in history. When they sang together, the chemistry was amazing. Fans even called it romance in stereo. That means their voices together sounded like a perfect love story. But when they weren't performing on stage, things weren't so perfect. Diana wanted them to co-headline the tour. That means both their names would be equally important and equal partners, but Lionel's team wanted his name to come first on every poster and advertisement. The two record companies, RCA and Motown, were already fighting about who should get credit for making the song so successful. And when lots of money started coming in from offers, people's egos got big. An ego is when someone thinks they're more important than they really are. Behind closed doors, Lionel's advisors told him that if he kept working with Diana, he would always be in her shadow. That means people would see him as less important than Diana, so he listened to them. Within just a few days, the whole tour deal fell apart. The band that was hired got sent home, and Diana was left staring at an empty schedule. She had built her whole calendar around doing shows with him. After that phone call, Diana was furious. "He used me to launch his solo career," she reportedly told a friend. That means she thought he only worked with her to become famous by himself later. She had already planned out all the dance moves. She had beautiful custom gowns made just for those concerts. She had lighting cues marked with his name. All of that was wasted. In public, she stayed calm and professional. "We created magic," she told a reporter, "and he turned it into a memory." But in private, she swore she would never sing with Lionel Richie again, and she kept that promise for the rest of her life. Number 5. Mary Wilson, the sister who turned against her. The moment Diana Ross announced she was leaving the Supremes in 1970, Mary Wilson stopped clapping. I mean literally, she stopped clapping. Cameras caught her just standing there completely still while Diana waved goodbye to everyone on stage. That was the beginning of a fight between them that would last more than 30 years. Back in the early days, the three of them were like family. They couldn't be separated. Three girls from Detroit, Diana, Mary, and another girl named Florence Ballard, all dreaming about becoming famous and just trying to survive. But as Motown got bigger, Berry Gordy made it very clear that Diana was the star. The spotlight started shining on Diana more than the others. Even the posters changed from saying the Supremes to saying Diana Ross and the Supremes. Mary hated that change. She once told a friend, "They stole our name and gave it to her." She felt like the group belonged to all three of them equally, but now it was all about Diana. When Diana left to become a solo singer, singing by herself, Mary felt abandoned. That means she felt left behind and hurt. She gave interviews to magazines and newspapers calling Diana selfish, manipulative, that means tricky and controlling, and obsessed with being in control of everything. Years later, Mary wrote a book about her life called Dream Girl. In that book, she turned those words into big headlines. She accused Diana of pushing Florence out of the group. She said Diana never fought for the group that made her famous in the first place. Diana didn't say anything back, she stayed quiet. But behind the scenes, people say she was heartbroken. "I thought we were sisters," she told someone she trusted. She really believed they had a special bond like family. Then came the final blow that ended everything. In the year 2000, promoters, people who organize concerts, offered them millions of dollars to do a reunion tour. That means the Supremes would perform together again, but Mary demanded equal pay and equal billing. That means she wanted to make the same amount of money and have her name be just as big as Diana's. Diana refused to agree to that, so the deal collapsed before they even had opening night. "I wanted to heal the past," Diana told Oprah, a famous TV host, later. But she wanted to relive it. That means Diana wanted to move forward and fix their relationship, but Mary wanted to go back and argue about old problems. After that, Diana and Mary never spoke to each other again. Their love for each other had died long before Mary actually died. Number 6. Quincy Jones, the famous producer who said no to her. The story goes that when Diana Ross's team called Quincy Jones in 1981 to ask if he would work with her on music, he didn't even let them finish talking. He laughed and said, "She's too difficult," and past her prime. Past her prime means he thought her best days were over and she wasn't good anymore. That single sentence cut Diana deeper than any bad review or mean headline ever could. At that time, Diana had just left Motown and signed her record-breaking $20 million deal with RCA. She was really determined to reinvent herself. That means she wanted to change her style and prove she could be successful in a new way. And Quincy Jones was at the very top of her list of people she wanted to work with. Quincy had just turned Michael Jackson into the biggest music act on the entire planet with albums called Off the Wall and Thriller. Diana believed that if she worked with Quincy, it could open up a whole new era for her sound and style. But Quincy didn't see working with her as an exciting challenge. He saw her as history, as someone from the past who didn't matter anymore. For Diana, that felt like getting slapped in the face. She had spent years and years trying to prove she was more than just Motown's poster girl. She wanted people to see her as a real artist with talent, not just a pretty face on advertisements. But here was another man just writing her off as too hard to manage and not worth his time. Diana was furious, but she stayed silent in public. She didn't complain to reporters or trash-talk Quincy. Instead, she poured all that anger into her work. She started producing her own projects. She hired her own arrangers, people who decide how music should sound. She shaped her music completely by herself without a single outside hand helping or controlling her. In her autobiography, a book about her own life that came out in 1993, she finally slipped in one sharp sentence that fans later realized was about Quincy. She wrote, "Sometimes the men you admire the most admire someone else." She never mentioned Quincy's name directly, but people knew. Since then, Diana and Quincy have crossed paths at award shows. They've nodded politely at each other like acquaintances, but they've never collaborated, not even once. The absence of any work between them says everything you need to know. Number 7, David Bowie, the icon she admired who made fun of her music. The night Diana Ross heard what David Bowie said about her music, she canceled every single press appearance she had scheduled in London. It wasn't because she was acting like a diva. It was because she felt humiliated. That means she felt embarrassed and small. The comment he made was cruel, and it came from someone she had trusted. Just a few months before this happened, they had spent late nights together in recording studios and gone to glamorous parties. David Bowie admired how elegant Diana was. Diana admired how fearless and brave David was with his music and style. They were complete opposites, but they clicked. They got along really well. There were even talks about them doing a duet together. That's when two people sing one song together. They wanted to do something bold that could mix their two different worlds together. Diana was really excited about this idea. She believed that Bowie saw her as an equal, as a real artist beyond the Motown label that had defined her for so many years. Then came 1980. Diana released a song called Upside Down, and it hit #1 all around the world. It was her biggest solo success yet, meaning it was the biggest hit she'd had by herself without the Supremes. To Diana, this was freedom. It was proof that she had reinvented herself and could still dominate the music charts. But to David Bowie, apparently it was a joke. At a private party in London, he was surrounded by music producers and journalists. People say he smirked, that's a mean little smile, and said, "Upside down, glossy nonsense for bored housewives." Glossy means shiny and fake. And he was basically saying her music was empty and only for women who had nothing better to do. The room full of people laughed at his joke. By the next morning, the story had reached Diana. She was devastated. That means she was completely crushed and heartbroken. A close friend later remembered, it wasn't just a joke to her, it was betrayal. Betrayal is when someone you trust hurts you really badly. That same week, Diana left London early. She refused to do every single interview that was scheduled. She later told friends, "He made me feel small for being happy." That's such a sad thing. He made her feel bad for being proud of her success. Diana never mentioned David Bowie in public ever again. She never recorded any music with him. She never shared a stage with him. The silence between them said everything. So what do you think about all of this? Did Diana Ross have every right to hold grudges against these people after everything she went through? A grudge is when you stay angry at someone for a long time. Or do you think she should have forgiven them a long time ago? Forgiveness means letting go of anger and giving someone another chance. Tell us what you believe down in the comments section. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the bell icon so you get notifications for more untold stories behind music's biggest legends. There are so many secrets that famous people keep hidden, and we're here to share them with you.